Shambhavi ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon. Shall we start the session, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, one thing to note, I don't think I can share my content.
Okay.
If you could put me on the presenter.
Okay. Let me introduce ma'am.
Yeah,
Good
sure.
afternoon, all. I'm Vineet Krishna from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. I'll be the moderator for afternoon sessions. I request all participants to mute their mic and make use of the chat option to post your queries while the session is going on. And after the session, we will have the discussion. Now we have two sessions. One session on assessing practical skills that will happen now till 2:15 p.m. And then our plan is to take a break for 15 minutes, and from 2:30 to 3:30 we will have a session on assessing soft skills. Now both the sessions will be provided to us by Dr. Diya Shambhavi ma'am, Associate Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore. She graduated from RV College of Engineering. She received her master's in software systems from BITS Pilani. She received her PhD from Visvesvaraya Technological University in 2013. She is an IUCEE IGIP certified engineering educator. Her research area includes natural language processing, information retrieval, data analytics, and engineering education. On behalf of RSET and on behalf of all who have gathered here, I welcome you, ma'am, to deliver the session. Welcome, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I think we lost you in the last couple of seconds.
Okay. No, I was welcoming you, ma'am.
Okay.
So I'll repeat on behalf of RSET and on behalf of all who have gathered here, ma'am.
Okay.
I welcome you to deliver the session, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Vineet, sir. Thanks. So let's start. More participants to join. Right, Vineet, sir? Okay. Right.
Am I audible now?
Audible. My question was,
Yeah, I
we
heard.
have
I heard you, ma'am.
more participants to join us, right?
Yes, ma'am. But if you're, I think we are ready to start the session. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that short and sweet introduction, Vineet sir. And I'm so glad I'm here as part of this training program as a resource person. So my heartfelt thanks to the organizers of this event. Special thanks to Dr. Manoj sir. Even more special thanks to Guru Prasad sir, who recommended my name to be part of this event. Yeah, thanks. I'm sure my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. One second.
Okay, ma'am.
Second. Yeah. Hey, good afternoon, everyone, once again. So let's start the session on this topic of how do we assess practical skills and soft skills. Um, I have a tough task today for the reason that it's an afternoon session, and added to that, my session is after Guru Prasad sir's session. So it's quite a challenging task, but I hope I manage it well. Yeah. I'm here to present the practices that we do have in our Department of Information Science and Engineering, PMSCE. But I'll try making it applicable to all streams, because I understand I have professors from all engineering branches of Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology with us here today. So please do stop me if you have any questions, and I would be more than happy to answer them. But the flow would be more inclined towards the practical assessments that we do in a computer science or information technology background. Yeah, right. Fine. So before we move on to the actual topic, I would want to make a list of what are the expected skill sets from our students, right? So why do we have to work so very hard to make our engineering graduates employable, or what is that skill set which is expected from our students, right? So we are looking at the output part, as in after 4 years, what is that an employer looks for, right? I'm sure the first criteria would be the knowledge, right? So every engineer who comes out of the college is expected to be technically really, really good. Um, you know, we list it in our POs. We say he should be able to gain the knowledge, apply it, and analyze scenarios, come up with a solution, design solutions, and things like that. But that would not be sufficient, right? So an employer, added to looking at a knowledgeable person, will also look at other factors in a candidate, right? So the other candidates or the other expectations would be about teamwork, right? So they don't want just people who are good at academics. They would also want people who are excellent team members, yeah, team players. They also want to have people who can communicate really well. So we've seen this in our placements, right? We don't always see toppers getting placed first. We see people who are good at multiple things, can do multiple tasking, have an all-round character, personality, very good in communication, do really well in placement. So that is what is expected from employer. And more than that, they also look at the problem solving part. So they want people who are very good at problem solving, can be critical thinkers, and they are very, very good in solving a problem for a given scenario. So these might be scenarios which they have not seen in the 4 years of their engineering journey. But the question is, how do they take up such scenarios or solve such scenarios? So this is what is expected, for us to imbibe in our students, right? But what is the input, or how are the students when they get inside our engineering institutions, right? So we understand that the generation that we're talking about are very, very digitally literate, right? So we have students in our classrooms who are millennials, who have seen the digital world from day one, right? So there are a couple of pics on your screen here which tell how digital the world or the generation around us have become, right? So we see uh, okay, a quick check. I see on the chat window that the audio is low. Is it better now? Sorry, I checked. No audio. Vineet sir, can you help me? Okay.
Ma'am, audio is fine, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Right. So we have this students in our class who are digitally literate. So look at this pic which says student, a nursery kid telling his mom that on his mobile he didn't have the apps loaded, so he didn't find his school really interesting, right? And we have a student who would want to icons on the board to write, to click, because they're not used to writing. They're all used to clicking, using smartphones, using icons, using apps, and they're almost on the verge of forgetting to write. With the pandemic, we see that even more applicable now because we have virtual classrooms, people, all students coming online on their devices and almost on the verge of, losing the practice of writing a paper, yeah, the writing habit itself. And this is an afternoon class. I hope I don't have this scenario. I have many people with me, listening to this conversation where, I cannot be the only person excited about a session, right? So it's the duty of a teacher, a responsibility, I would say, to keep everybody interested in the class, right? So we no longer have only the teacher as the excited person in the class. So what should we do so that we keep them engaged is the big question. And as I said, there are a set of expectations from employers, and I cannot be a professor who says, I want all my students to be independent, innovative, critical thinkers, and do exactly what I say, right? So I would have to give them the space for them to think, to innovate, and, not being a teacher, but more being a facilitator. So I would want to be a facilitator, helping them learn on their own, and at the same time, innovate things. Yeah, look at things around, see of how they could find solutions to the problems around them, right? So this is the current generation. So this is the current set of people in our class, and our job is to make them employable, right? So with this introduction to the topic, let's move on to the OBE essence. Since yesterday you've had lots about outcome-based education, this is just a summary of it, of what I have learned from my gurus like Guru Prasad sir. Yeah. So I think there are three components in OBE. One, which is the curriculum design, which involves coming up with the syllabus, the course content, designing the course outcomes, and various things. Yeah, the attainments of POs, COs, and all such things would be the curriculum design, right? So we kind of plan of how the syllabus should be and what is expected to be learned by a learner. Yeah. And then comes our TLP, the teaching learning process, which is also called pedagogy. So we understand that pedagogy would involve or would be the major responsibility of a teacher, a course instructor. So he has the responsibility to go ahead, deliver, make sure students learn. So there is teaching, there is learning equally, from the other end, right? And I feel the pillar or something which drives both pedagogy and curriculum is the assessment methods. Yeah. So I was present in the morning session when most of you felt one of the motivation factors which drives learning in current classroom is marks, right? So I could motivate a student to learn by attaching marks with the assessments that we do. Yeah. And the other one could be placements, right? So both of these motivate. So once I have my assessment method, which is really, really strong, I would have my students learn, which will in turn help or improve the learning process, right? So according to me, assessment method is the driving force in effective pedagogy and effective curriculum design. So once you have an assessment pattern or a method which is strong, you will improve learning, which will in turn improve you design an excellent curriculum. Yeah. So assessment methods would include various things. One would be a diagnostic assessment where we have a pre-test or a post-test, just to know of where students start or stand even before, they have learned or after they have learned. So they're not very formal ones. They're just diagnostic assessments. But formative and summative assessments is what we usually do, right? So formative assessments are internal tests, right? So a set of tests which happen throughout the semester, kind of know that students are in line with what is being taught, right? So that forms the formative assessment. And summative assessments are our semester end exams, right? So a summative exam would grade the student, promote them to the next semester, declare that they've cleared that course and things like that. So all these assessment methods is what we will look at, right? So and one more thing is that these assessment methods may be formal or informal, right? So when I say formal, they are the ones which are evaluated, which have marks associated with it. But informal are the ones which kind of give a feedback to the teacher of how the learning has been. So there might not be much of marks associated with it. So it could be a chat, it could be a meeting with a student asking of how well this class has been going. Are they following things and things like that. At the same time, it could also be informal, formal as well, right? So it's not that we give more emphasis on formal assessment, but informal ones will also add value, is what I think. Yeah. Yeah. So this is one of the evaluation patterns that we have follow for a course, which is called analysis and design of algorithms. Yeah, I've chosen this because this was one of the recent ones that we did during the pandemic. But I will also visit other case studies of courses which we have done previously. Right. So beginning of a semester, we do this task where for a course, we understand it would be a complete theoretical course, or it would be a course which has a theory and a lab component with it, right? So the algorithms course was with both, theory and practical components to it. So we first, make an outline of what would be the delivery methods, right? So we say theory, we will have Blackboard teaching, we will have PPTs, and in class we will have active learning sessions, techniques to set up dynamic classrooms. And yes, online teaching was part of it for the reason that half the semester went online. Yeah, we had to take a virtual classrooms. So that was the delivery method employed. For practical, it is planned that we will have students attend labs for 2 hours every every week once. So we had a lab cycle, and students were expected to execute the programs of those lab cycles, right? So the assessment pattern was planned for 3 internal assessments and a quiz, which was for 5 marks. And it was also planned that there would be lab tests at the end of the semester. That was the summative assessment. But there was also this one more component, which was puzzle-based learning, where we looked at teams being formed and problem statements being given to each team, and a problem which was not in their textbook or which was not part of their lab cycle being done, implemented, and presented to us, right? So the plan was to cater to multiple POs. PO 1, 2, 3, which spoke about knowledge, applying knowledge, analyzing things, and designing solutions, was achieved or was attempted to be achieved through the theory component. But with practicals, we tried attaining higher level POs. So POs which spoke about designing solutions, lab experiments, and POs which spoke about teamwork, improving communication skills, and also one of the most critical ones which spoke about lifelong learning, right? So I'll get deeper into puzzle-based learnings, but this was the plan. So we make sure that the emphasis to practical skills is 50%, right? So we don't strike an imbalance between theory and practical, because we understand when a student gets into the industry, it's his practical skills which is at test for the maximum duration, right? So I hope all of you agree with me, where we say practical exposure or practical experience and learning forms a very, very critical thing when it comes to engineering, right? So yeah, right. Our course, being an online programming platform, was being used in this course, and it's kind of used with almost all courses in our department which have which talk about programming languages, right? So there are a lot many out there. I've listed few of them here. Now these are the platforms where problem statements exist, and a student has the challenge to solve them, write programming solutions to them. So the most popular among these is HackerRank and LeetCode. There is CodeChef, which have lot many hackathons happening, CodeEval, CoderBytes, Top Coder, and many more. Right. So how is this relevant to all engineering branches, right? I'm sure all of you would agree that coding is now kind of primary skill which is expected by everybody. So if you are in mechanical or electrical or electronics, you have to at some point of time code, right? So the emphasis of every engineer learning coding has become even more paramount now. So I feel any engineering graduate should improve his or her programming skills with one of these programming platforms. I would quickly switch to a demo of HackerRank. Yeah. So this is a free software. You don't have to pay. Okay. So you could sign up with any of your Gmail accounts. So let me log in. So I log in as a developer because I don't look at hiring people, right? So I'm not a company. So I will go ahead, log in. Yeah. So if you could see, I'm trying to log in with my Gmail account. So this is my mail ID. So shambhavibr.isc@bmsc.ac.in. So I've logged in with this. So as you can see, these are the, this is what every student will look at, right? So if a student is willing to learn C, let's say he's a first year student, he's looking at, improving his C programming skills. So he would get into this practice page. So these are the different challenges which exist, right? And on the right is, a set of check boxes which tell me that I could start with easy ones. So it tells me, this question on pointers in C is an easy one, right? So let me say I want to solve this. So, a student could look at this problem statement and his code would go here, right? So there is a description of a problem. which says you're playing with characters, you will have to do these operations, and what is the input format expected, the output format expected, and the code would go here, right? So this is for a student, but how do I, as a teacher, use it, right? One quick question, has anybody used HackerRank as an evaluation, as a formative assessment tool? Anybody in this group? Sorry, this might be specific to ISCS, but okay. Prince Ma'am says no. Okay, Dr. Preeta says no. Okay, so yeah, I think this is of some value to many people here in the call. So let me go ahead to tell you, demonstrate of how a teacher could use this, right? So because when I say I'm checking the coding skills in a lab, right? I know there's a set lab cycle, right? So there's a lab cycle, they've tried it. And if I give the same question, I cannot make a distinction between a student who is good at coding and somebody who by hearts code and comes, types it, just like, trying his typing skills and putting his memory skills at test, right? So I will have to make a distinction. And that is when an online coding tool like this helps me. So, yeah, this is the administration log part, which is free, as in everybody can see it, can use it. So once I get into administration, I can post a challenge. Yeah. So this is like, I am sure all of our students do it as part of technical fest, right? So we have coding events in our technical fest, right? So how do they do it? So this is one of the ways you could get a question paper ready with questions about programming, right? So these are the different questionnaires or question papers which I've done previously. So let's do a new one, right? So I could set a context name. So I say trial at RSET. I could set the date. So let's say I set the date as 20th, and I say when it should start. And you could set an end time, because if you're looking at an assessment which should run for 15 minutes, right? So you could say it closes. So exactly after 15 minutes, it closes. But if you think it's a question where you give students 1 day time, a time for them to think about it and then come up with the solution, you could mark it that it doesn't have a end time. So you could say you'll have to pick one of the organizations listed, or you could add it to the list, right? So we have a contest here. Now the contest is ready, but it doesn't have questions in it, right? And the questions are called challenges, right? So I could add a challenge, and remember, these are the challenges from the thousands of questions which exist in the library of HackerRank, right? So I say challenge, I should be able to give a challenge name, right? So how do I know which challenges are there? So before I do this, I should have, gone through the list of questions which are to be pulled and made a part of my question paper, right? So let's say I'm talking about C. Now let me go back. So let's say I'm talking about playing with characters. So I want this question to be part of my question paper. So let's come back to this challenges, and let me say playing, okay, with, yeah, you see it? So all the challenges or questions which have this name are listed here, and I pick them, and I could also change the score, right? So by default it was 5, but I could make it 10, and I could say, okay, Manju George sir, could I know what this is for? Okay, if it was by mistake, I'll decline it. Right, so you add challenge, you see that your question paper has this question, right? So let me add one more. Let me say I want this for loop in C, right? So I say add challenge. So for loop in C, right? So you add a challenge. So now you have a question paper for 20 marks. Yeah. So we could preview of how the question paper would look for a student. So once a student on that particular date and time logs in, he would see that there are two challenges. So clicking on this will take him to the same page, which we saw earlier, where the question is given and he's expected to give the code. The other part of it is, the other advantage I would say is with respect to its is the evaluation part. So as you can see, I get a question paper ready. I could also see of how the marks are being calculated. So let me go to manage context. So if you could see, these are the various contests which have already happened. So let me pick this question paper which was done for ADA. So I know this was scheduled on this date and there was a deadline, and it was assigned. So going to statistics, you will see that there were the count of the students who took up the test. So you view the submissions. So this gives you the list of all students who have logged in, the problem that they have solved, and the scores, right? And what you can see is an amazing thing where you kind of understand which are the test cases which were passed. For example, why did Vishak get a score of 0.38 is because there were a lot of test cases which weren't passed, right? So accepted. So I have Chinmay who gets 515. You could see that all the test cases, both the public test cases and the private test cases were cleared, and hence, he gets a 515. So, after the test, you will have this analysis, and it's for us to, pull out the scores from here and get our assessment complete, right? So I would say this is one of the strongest assessment tools when it comes to programming. Yeah, but the only constraint is that I will have to pull out questions from the library which exists. Yeah, from the library of HackerRank which exists. If we look at questions which, let's say, I want to frame and put it on a online platforming thing, I would say Hacker Earth would be the portal to do it, or Lead Code. One second, not Lead Code, CodeChef. Yeah, CodeChef and Hacker Earth have the option where the instructor or the teacher has the liberty to set the question papers, or be innovative in giving questions which are not existing. But I'm sure the pool of questions which exist here is sufficient enough to test the coding skills. And if you could see, it's not just for one course that we have. It kind of covers all the programming related courses of CS, right? So I would say this would be an easy free of cost tool to be used programming course. Pricing, okay. Santosh Kumar sir, as I said, this is free of cost. It doesn't have a cost associated with it. Any education package, Santosh Kumar sir, am I right? Are you talking about an LMS? Or is it a programming app that we are looking at? Okay, yeah, HackerRank is the one that we are talking about. Yes. Right. Any other questions? or I would also hear from, would want to hear from people if you've used other than HackerRank. I mean, you might not have used HackerRank, but any other, yeah, we've been using it for quite some time for courses like data structures, Java, algorithms, and DBMS, but it's been quite okay. Santosh sir gives us a link that there is pricing. No, sir. This might be pricing for people, who want to hire. Let's say I'm an employer. I look at hiring people. This is for them, right? So the link that you gave us. But as a teacher, if I'm looking at evaluating the students, it's not required. Yeah. Quick question. Okay, we have Dr. Sundara Kumar sir. Yeah, sorry, sir. I don't have anything similar to this, but yeah, I'll quickly switch to what are called virtual labs. I hope there is something in store for all branches in virtual labs. Can all be used for familiar purpose? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're right, ma'am. The list that I showed. Yeah, this list, yes, it's quite comprehensive. I would say lead code is the most complex one. Yes, but for a beginner, let's say I'm a student who's new to programming and want to get to this habit of competitive programming, he should start with HackerRank and later move on to HackerEarth lead code. But yes, my intention of showing HackerRank was that it could be an assessment tool. Instead of just saying get your hacker points, make your hacker points 200, or make the total number of lead code points as 100, and if you get 100, I will give you 5 on 5. Instead of that, we could have a tailor-made, have a question paper which is specific to the course that I'm teaching, right? So and I could have a mix. I could have a question paper which has easy questions and tough questions, so that I will have people who are very good do really well with both, with even the tougher ones. Yes, they're all for similar purpose, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah, I think I could move ahead. So that was a quick demo of HackerRank. Yeah. Virtual labs. Now, this is something which is very, very crucial with things going online, right? I'm sure most of you would have tried using this, because this has been quite popular, and MHRD is getting very intense in making this popular, right? So we are a remote center for virtual labs, but I see post pandemic it's got a lot of emphasis and importance, right? So for the reason that it provides remote access to labs, and it's not just confined to computer science, information science, but it caters to all disciplines of engineering. This is one of the most innovative, useful initiative of MHRD with things going online now. So students can avail various tools here. So it's not just conducting experiments. I'll give you a quick demo of it, but that there is additional resource. So virtual lab is not just experimentation. So there are video lectures, there are demonstrations, there are a lot of quizzes, self-evaluations as part of these virtual labs. And the other salient feature of it is that you could access the costly equipment and resources from the comfort of your home, right? So you're sitting at home, you could have your code run on an electronics board, on your microprocessor, or you could have your microcontroller respond to the code that you've written online, right? So that's the best part of virtual labs. Yeah, again, yeah. So this is the list of yeah. So this is the list of all virtual labs. up-to-date PDF which lists not just for computer science. So if you could see, there are courses. Yeah, so for electronics and communication. So based on the course, there are links on various virtual labs. So this virtual labs is not just with one institution. It's a consortium of various institutions across the country which have come together, giving us this feature. So this is for electronics and communication. This is for electrical. So as you could see, here are the hyperlinks. This is NITK is providing it, or it's Amrita University, or it's IIT Kanpur. Various institutions, and this is for mechanical. Sorry, I haven't gone through it in detail, but I've known that there are so many workshops conducted to promote these virtual labs. So I'm sure with practical labs conduction being so very tough, going online, virtual labs could be a solution, one of the ways. I could share this document. Yeah, so this list of civil engineering. So this is not constrained to programming. So this caters to all programming or practical experimentations with respect to any engineering course, right? So the strength of materials, fluid mechanics, everything, all core courses are listed here, right? So this is under the virtual lab. But yes, I would quickly want to do a 5-minute demo about the data structure lab. Yeah. Okay. So this is one of the portals on IIIT Hyderabad. So as I said, it's not just a list of experiments. So it talks about the videos, content. So if I'm saying, let's say I'm talking about stacks and queues, it tells you everything about that topic. So it starts from a video which explains how can you conduct experiments. It tells you there's a pre-test. If you could see on the left, there are a set of prerequisites. So this quiz makes sure a student who before experimenting it knows the fundamentals of arrays and linked list, right? So, and then he moves on to stack. So there are short videos. I'm sure you agree with me. The millennials have a very short span of concentrating. Yeah. Any guesses of what is the duration, max duration that a student can concentrate on? I repeat my question. What do you think is the maximum duration that a student can? Yeah. I'll give it to Princey and Thomas, 7 minutes. 15, 20 minutes is probably our generation. The millennials, no, not more than 7 minutes is what the studies tell us. Thank you so much for all those responses. But yes, 7 minutes. So that's the reason these videos have gone really, really short. I'm sure you could check it on even the videos which are on NPTEL these days. They make it really short so that they get the attention of that listener, right? So, so moving ahead, so it talks about the theory of what is a stack. There's a demo, so we could start a demo, see of how it works, and look at these exercises. These are a lot of simulations. So I say pop from stack A, I have things being popped, and I say pop from A to B, it goes from left to right. So the very fact that a student visualizes it, he thinks it's fun. Yeah, he learns in the process. So these are a set of quizzes, post quizzes. Yeah, after a topic, a video, and content, there are quizzes. Please remember that these quizzes are not for assessment, as in they're not formal assessment. You cannot say there's marks with it, do it and come. But you ask the students to do it. It is designed in such a way that they get interested in it, right? So and they do it on their own, right? So as I said, marks is one of the motivating factor, but it may not always be the motivating factor. So, right. So the lot many contents, videos, as I said, animations and quizzes. So what I have tried doing is, currently I'm teaching data structures for third semester. So once I finish the topic on stacks and queues, I will in my class run through this video, right? So I will say, okay, a quick demo of how it works, and I'll tell them, turn in the screenshots, take these quizzes, turn in the screenshots, and it's not for evaluation. I tell them very frankly, this is not for evaluation, but they still do it because they understand. Their understanding about the topic becomes clearer. Yeah, it's not programming. They're not coding anything here, but they're learning. They're kind of visualizing of how these data structures work, right? So that's the best part. I'm sure if you could, look for your specific branch virtual labs, you will surely admire it and admire the efforts that have gone in making things virtual. Mm. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Right. So the next topic would be the continuous lab evaluations. Yeah, would be the last topic for this first session, but there are a lot more things in the next session. With respect to puzzle learning, designing games, alternative assessments is what we will see in the next session. So I'll conclude with this last topic where. How do we do lab evaluations and how do we make it continuous? We understand, the current semester and, the last semester as well, we had tough task evaluating our students' practical skills, right? So we wanted them to do experiments, but how do we know whether they've done it or not done it? Yeah. Sorry, I'm being very specific to computer science or information technology here. Yeah, we have a question. Yes, virtual labs are free, sir. Yes. Yes, virtual labs are free. Yes. Right. So online learning would be complete only with an LMS, a learning management software. Um, any LMS, I mean, I'm sure you might be using one. So could I know which LMS is being used at Rajagiri? Earlier before everything went online at BMS, we had the liberty to choose our own LMS. As in, we had faculty who used yes Moodle. We had faculty who were using Edmodo, who were using Google Classrooms. But yes, of late, it's mandated across the college for us to use Google Classrooms. Yeah. Moodle is an excellent thing. So nice that Rajagiri is also using Moodle. But I would want to quickly show you of how I maintain continuous lab evaluation with the help of Google Classroom. So we have weekly assignments being posted, and they are assessed. They are marked. There was marks. They'll do it sometimes. Yeah. Probably half the class need that component of marks associated with it, right? So let's quickly jump to see how we are doing here at BMSE. So this is my classroom. So if you could see, I handle 3 batches of data structures. So this is the A1 batch, A section, D section one batch, and this B section, right? So so on the stream, if you could see, we say these are the lab programs to be done, modifications, and yeah. So we initially started with programs, kind of prerequisite program. So the first week, I know they've just done C programming. So there were a set of assignments which were posted, which were not evaluated. They were just revision kind of things. So programs which said, you will have to store COVID patient details. If I look at it, it says, yeah. So if you could see, I had, most of them turn it in without marks being assigned to it, right? So on the grade section, so if you could see, I have all the students, who turned in these prerequisite ones, yeah. But once the lab program started, they were marked on a scale of 10. So on 10, there were 2 programs for them to do, right? So quickly show you this. So there was a main program which was common to be done by everybody in the lab. So every person in the lab goes ahead to do one program on the singly linked list, right? But modification program is something which is individually being given, right? So I have, let's say, 20 students in the lab. Each student will get a different modification. So while in a virtual session like this for the lab, I will ask them to share their screen, show the execution, ask them questions and things like that. But let's say they're not able to complete it within the deadline or the time period of those 2 hours of lab session, they have time, right? So they have time, to turn in the assignment later. So every assignment would have a deadline, right? So would have a deadline. So they either, I mark them on a scale of 10. So if I see that they've done only one program, they get 5 on 10. And this cumulatively at the end of the semester will be one of their CIE component. Yeah. So yeah, and if you could see, there are missing ones. So I know very clearly that this person is not, serious about his programming. Yeah, he hasn't turned in his, assignments. He's not doing it. So I can easily monitor. I could reach him through his proctor, trying to find out of what makes him not do it, or why is he not being part of the lab or not turning in the assignment. So this kind of helps me. Let's check with D1 batch. It's a very similar thing. So each batch, if you could see, evaluating it, there's a progress. So they know, if it's missing, they know I would have marked them with 0, right? So they know they've not turned in, I marked it with 0. They know I will have to do it. Even if it's after the deadline, they will have to complete it so that, they catch up with others in the lab, right? So that's one of the ways. I'm sure there are equivalent things, on Moodle for such evaluations. Yeah, and this is the theory class, right? So we have the theory classes also, being maintained on the, the LMS of Google Classroom. So if I have to share a video, I share it with the entire class here. I say, this is the link for a special class. So if there's a special class, there's a link or there's a code, lot many things, even in classroom. Let's say I have an assignment to give. So there's a quiz. I will have all of them being posted here. And yeah. Right. So this was one of the assignments, where I taught them arithmetic expressions. It was a question paper like this. Look at it. Each student was given an expression. I'm sure people. Some of you could relate to it. So there were questions individually given to every student. Yeah. So these are called expressions. So in theory class, I taught them of how to convert this expression to postfix and prefix with one example. But each one of them were expected to individually, try out on these things and turn it in. So I kind of, made sure that the questions didn't overlap. They were distinct. At the same time, they couldn't copy. And if you could see, there were out of 56, there were 42 of them who had turned it in. Yeah. And very few who were not interested. So at least I know that out of 56, I have 40 plus students who synced, right? So each of them, they were expected to solve that problem on a sheet of paper, scan it and post it like this, right? So they were expected to do this problem solving. And they were told clearly that this is not for marks, this is for them to make their understanding better. So if you could see, each one solved their respective problem, and they gave it. But the other question is, how did I evaluate it, right? So what I told them was, there was a portal which for any infix, it gave us what was the equivalent. So I told them after the deadline that, go there, check, or I also taught them of how to write a C program to automatically, give this as an input, convert it to postfix infix, right? So they could actually write a program, give this as input, and check if their solutions were correct. So the prefix that they got, they could know whether they've done it correct. So it was kind of self-evaluation. At the same time, they had learned, right? So yeah, sorry, I was on Google Classroom, so I just completed that part. This was not practical, so yes, I shifted to theory, but just to make the completion, the topic of usage of an LMS complete, I completed that part here. Yeah. Any questions with respect to this, or any information which you think you could share it with the entire set of participants here? Please feel free to share it on the chat window. So what we have done in this first slot is to see a demo of HackerRank, a small discussion about virtual labs, and a demo of the LMS that we use. And using the LMS, what set of assessments do we do, and how do we ensure that there is continuous assessment, both with respect to practicals and the theory component, is what we've seen. The next session would also talk about tools like this and the practices that we do at BMSC, for a complete attainment of the OBE practices, and in turn ensure students learn and we assess their skills, the skills that they've acquired as part of that course, right? So I would break here, but after the 15 minutes break that you come back, we will have a short 10-minute quiz. And it's all about things that you already know. So I would request you to come back for a short quiz, and make sure you get your mobile phones. Yeah, I'm sure our students also would be excited to know that they could use mobiles in their classroom, right? So, I've tried this even in classes which were offline. So, we usually say, keep your mobiles aside, put it inside your bag, switch it off. But the moment I say it's quiz time, take out your mobiles, I see a smile on their faces and they're so very excited. I hope, a quick demo of how, interactive quizzes could be done in the next session would really help you and bring a smile on your face.
Thank you, ma'am. So, shall we break for 15 minutes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think we have one question from Sri Divya ma'am. Creating a link for conducting exam and quiz and Google links are same. Yes. If you're on Classroom, it would be something like this. So I say classwork, I say create an assignment, or it could be a form. You're just creating a Google form, the way you do quizzes, yes, it could be that way, or it could be a quiz assignment. Or if you're not using Google Classroom, let's say you have a different LMS, I could go here and say, Google Form. So I say Google Form. I have a form created which could look like, a quiz. So you need not switch LMS. Yes, you could use the assignment here as well. Yes, sir. Vineet, sir.
Okay, ma'am. So I think we'll take a break for 15 minutes, and by 2:30, shall we all meet here, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. So we'll break for 15 minutes, and I request all participants to be back by 2:30. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Shambhavi ma'am,
Yes, sir.
shall we proceed now?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, once again. So I'm sure you have had your coffee, you're energized for the quiz. Yes, so let's start. Before I start the quiz, I would want all of you to get your mobiles or open a browser on the system that you're taking this call. Yeah. Just a quick check. I hope my audio is okay and you're able to see the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Vineet, sir. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, once again. Thanks for being back on time. Thank you so much. So I would want you to open your mobile, open the browser. Please type menti.com. What do you see on the screen? Top, menti.com. Please click on this. And type in the code which you see on the screen, 8813936. Yeah. Wow. I already have 2 people who have joined the room, the quiz room. Yes, third, fourth. Awesome. So we have around 100 plus participants in the session. Let's see. Let's see how many would join us. Yeah. One more minute. I request everyone to join the quiz room. 19 of you. Good. As I said, if you think on your mobile, net is not very great, you could do this on your desktop or laptop or on the system where you're taking this call. Open the browser. Please click on menti.com and put the code to join the quiz as 8813936. I repeat. Yeah. So this would be a quiz of just 5 questions, all about OBE. Yeah. And I know you've done awesome sessions on OBE since yesterday. So let's do a quick revision. Yeah. Let's do a quick revision. Yes, 28 of you. Let's see. Awesome, 31. I have 31 of you join the quiz. Come on, there are goodies to win. Join the quiz. Quick. 32. I'm sure you've given your nicknames so that I know who's playing. Right, 34. This last 30 seconds, we'll see. We'll have maximum number of people join the quiz. Yeah, this is a 10-minute quiz. If you find it interesting, I'm sure you'll do this in your online classes as well, because I'll give you a demo of how to design it as well, right? So awesome. We have 40 people. Cool. 41. Can we make it 50? Let's see. Okay. 42. Yes. I think we'll start. It's a good number. I understand. Afternoon session. I'm sure you have had your regular workload also, of teaching in your college. So you say you have a training to go, your HOD wouldn't give you an off, right? So your HOD would say manage both the things. It's anyways online. So I completely understand. So let's start the quiz with 42 of you. Great. So let's see. There's just 5 questions. All the questions are on your screen one by one, and you will have to choose. Yeah, the options would be on your screen, right? So let's get started. Yeah, the first question is on your screen. All about OBE. Which of these is not a characteristic of an OBE learning system? I repeat, not a characteristic. You have 40 seconds. So 10 seconds up, last 30 seconds. Take time, no worries. Um, as long as you give a correct answer, you will score points. Yeah. So you need not rush. Take time to read the options. The options are competitive exam, student focused learning, exercises which are based on end goals, and alternative assessments. Which of these is not a characteristic of OBE learning system? 2, 1. Okay, I had 34 of you answer within the deadline. Awesome, awesome. I have 28 out of 34 who got it right, who said competitive exams. Yes, OBE doesn't talk about our competitive exams, but yes, does talk about focused learning by students, exercises which are based on outcomes or end goals, basically. And they will also talk about alternative assessment. So these are all part of OBE and not competitive exams, right? So time for us to see who all have got it right. Okay, so we have the toppers. Yes, we have Professor PS, AFM, Millie, not many. Yes, you've scored 100,000 points. Yes, I don't have the list of all 28, but if you've got it right, you're on the leaderboard. Awesome. So let's go to the next question. I think I'll decline this. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Second question. What do you think are the benefits of NBA accreditation? The options are here. Please be careful. This is timed. The quicker you give, the correct answer you give, more points you would score. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So this was word count. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Uh, this was trying to know of what you think are the benefits of NBA accreditation. You have a word cloud here as a response. I have all of you tell me that quality, worldwide recognition, awesome quality education, value addition to the institution, yes, an impact on the job, yes, it improves quality. Oh, look at it. I have amazing inputs by all of you. Acceptance, more courses, improved quality, better standards being set. Yes, amazing. So, okay, this was not a quiz question. This was just a polling kind of thing where you kind of know of what the entire participation team thinks. Yeah, thinks about a particular topic. For me, I wanted to know what you think or how you think NBA accreditation would help you, right? So amazing. Yeah, thanks. I had all the 40 out of 40 to give the answers. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Let's move ahead. For us to go to the second question. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. All 43. inputs. Amazing. Right. So here is your second question. Sorry, we're continuing our quiz here. So we are done with question number 1. This is question number 2. As I said, this would be timed, as in be quick to get the right answer at the earliest to score maximum points. One second. Okay. Why am I? Okay. One second. I think we skipped question number 2. So let's do question number 2. Yeah. The difference between NAC and NB. A 40-second question. The options are on your screen on your mobile. Trying to see if there's any difference between NAC and NBA. Last 5 seconds. I have 37 of you. Yes, almost there. Yes, 39 of you give the answer. Yes, majority of you got it right. I think those 3 just got confused. Yeah, but they're not the same. That NAC certifies institutions and NBA is with programs. Yes, amazing. So let's see who's on the top of the scoreboard. See changes here. I have Arun Balakrishnan sir being the fastest, Vineet Krishna and RV just behind Arun sir. Yes, this is still the second question. We have 3 more to go, so let's keep it going. Yes, so the third question is on your screen. Be ready. Yes. What do you think is the principle of learning? Is it just that it takes time? Is it personal? Or do you think it can be social as well? And can it be transferred? Yeah. Almost there. 39 of you, 40 of you made it. Good. Awesome. Okay. 35 of you thought it was transferable, but all answers were right. All answers are equally right because we know learning does take time and it could be social. It's both personal and social and it can be transferred. Yes. So actually, all answers were correct. So everybody would get points for this, right? But let's see if who gave it really quick. I have Arun sir still at the top. No, Vineet. Yes, Vineet makes it to the first place. But PS was the fastest. Yeah, Mr. PS was the fastest. Let's see. Thanks so much for being so very active. Here is your fourth question on the screen. We're talking about rubric, which is not part of a rubric. The options are performance criteria, learning outcomes, a rating scale, and indicators. Yes. Most of you got it really quick. 10 more seconds to go, but I have all of you give me the answer. Amazing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes. The answer is learning outcomes. Yeah. We will see an example where our rubric would include performance criteria, rating, and indicators, and learning outcomes is something which is not part of the rubric. We will see an example of it, when we continue with the presentation. Yes. Congratulations to all those 13 who got it right. Let's see the leaderboard. Okay, I see there's a change, right? So we have, yes, Dr. T. Dhanlakshmi, Lakshmi Shetty being the fastest, and Arun sir is not way behind. Come on, sir, last one question. Things can change. Yeah. In between, this is just one question, not for evaluation. Look at it. I would request you to put it on the chat window of what you think this image means, or what comes to your mind first when you look at this image. Yeah, there were answers on the chat window for the quiz question. Sorry, I'm only taking answers for things which are on Menti. Yeah, graduation, data analytics. Yes, there is a lot of analytics happening, correct? Recognition, yes. There are certificates, medals, literature collection. Awesome. You think so differently. Amazing. Reports, yes. One quick question. Do you see all these recognition reports good, going into something? This is a success story. Yes, Vineet sir. Filtering reports. Yes. I would say it's a representation of flow, correct? Academic successes, amazing answers. Thank you so much. This is all part of assessments. There are a lot of assessments, and there is, I would say, an assessment is the actual word for it. Yes. Yeah, Princy ma'am, sorry, Dr. Princy and Thomas did get it right. Knowledge hub, success, amazing. Yeah, thanks for all your responses. Yes, but as part of the next question, yeah, I wouldn't say a quiz question, but there's something for you to input looking at the image which will come up next. So the next image has 2 images in it. I'm looking at a phrase, the right phrase which is depicted in the image. Yeah, careful. The next image wants your answer on Menti. Yeah, please don't put it on chat. Please put it on the mobile or the device on which you're taking this quiz. What do you think this image decodes to? It's a phrase. It's a phrase of 2 words. Yeah, I can give you 30 seconds more. Yeah, I have answers pouring in on the chat. Let's see what we have here. Blended MOOC, teaching and learning, online TLP, offline to online, yes. Changing trends in teaching learning, excellent digital transformation, awesome. Yes, it's offline and online, yes. I would also take online education as the right phrase. Blended MOOCs, online mania, yes. Virtual, awesome. You see all the answers here, right? Isn't it nice? I get to see all your responses real time. ICT based learning, e-learning. Yes, coding lessons. Okay, I know online classes, pandemic, thanks to the pandemic, online class. Amazing. Yes. Awesome. Right? So That's your interpretation of the image, right? Excellent. Yeah. So, but time for us to go to the last question and see of who will make it to the final leaderboard. Yeah. Let's conclude the quiz with this final question. Question is on your screen. So we talk about observable outcomes, or is it measurable outcomes, or is it both? Okay. People giving answers on the chat are helping their peers as well. So it's 38 of you. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and everybody has voted. Awesome. The right answer was both. You look at not just outcomes which are observable, but they have to be measurable as well, right? That is when we talk about attainment values, rubrics to find out of how they are measurable and things like that, right? So yes, kudos to everybody who got it right, and let's see who makes it to the final leaderboard. Yes, looks like it's Lakshmi Shetty. Yes, Professor Lakshmi Shetty makes it to the leaderboard. Bravo! Congratulations. Yes, we have AFM and Annie John also who made it to the top 3, and congratulations to Professor Lakshmi Shetty. Yeah, and thanks everyone for being part of this quiz. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, and time for us to switch to our presentation. Yeah, fine. So our quiz time is over. So let's continue from where we left. Yeah, we have wishes flowing in for Lakshmi Shetty. Excellent. Yes. Yeah. So the next 30 minutes, I would want to run through the evaluation rubric that we took, which not just looked at evaluating practical skills, but were also oriented towards judging soft skills. So soft skills, what comes to your mind when we say soft skills? Can I have it on the chat window? What do you think is referred to as soft skills? I'm sure it's not about knowledge. It's not about the technical expertise that's expected, but what else is soft skill? Yes, Zarupa says communication, the interpersonal skills. Dr. Dhanlakshmi ma'am says interpersonal skills, leadership, perfect ma'am, problem solving, yes. Yes, it's not just about interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, it's all about the emotional intelligence. And yes, rightly pointed out, it's all the overall personality development. Yeah, your body language, your written skills, your aptitude, your attitude. Yeah, yes, critical thinking, right? So we will see of how we could, have our assessments oriented towards these skill sets that we look at, right? Thank you so much for all your responses. Yes, thank you so much. So we will look at 2 experimentations that we did in our department. It was me, Guru Prasad sir, and Guru Raj sir. We 3 together tried this for a course, and I would want to share my experience with you. Yeah. Right. So this was the first one where this was before pandemic. Yeah. So we tried this for the algorithms course, and we said this would be a programming assignment. Yeah. So we said there is for practical skill evaluation, there is always lab sessions. There are always lab tests. So before things went online, we used to have lab tests every month. So at the end of 4 experiments or 5 experiments, tentatively, we used to have lab tests to check if they have understood those. Yeah. And the mark split of the lab test to evaluate, viva was he conducted, and other writing records and things like that. So that was a usual way that went on for the lab. So as I said, CIE in our college is 50 marks. So 25 marks go towards the theory evaluation, 25 marks for the lab or the practical part. So out of 25, we said let's keep 10 for something like this, where teams are being formed and teams are assigned or asked to design computer games. So so that 10 marks was to be attained by the entire team, right? So what we did was we asked students to make teams. They're not very happy if I make random teams and gel them together. So we told them, okay, we give you 3 days time, make teams of either 3 students or 4 students. I've marked it here on this table, but I would want to draw your attention to things which are on the right. These are the problem statements that we gave them. Now, these are, games that we play very often, right? So we play, we've seen kids play rock, paper, scissors, or Mankala. We call it Alguli Mane in Kannada. I think it's Paniguli in Malayalam. I'm not sure, but we know that tamarind seeds being kept. We play. I'm sure a very fun game during our summer vacations at our granny's place. Hangman, Snake and Ladder, Sudoku. So these were the games which we told them you have to come up with simulating it. You should. We were not looking at an UI. Just note that we were not looking at they designing an excellent UI for these games, but we had different evaluation criteria, right? So we were looking at. So this was the rubric that we were looking at. So we were trying to evaluate their technical skills of how they would choose the right data structure to solve the problem, and what would be the algorithm that they would come up with, right? So if you could see, these are the indicators, the ratings of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The performance criteria is technicality, and what I fill up inside are the indicators, right? So if you could see, I would want all my indicators to be measurable, quantitative. So I clearly say that the algorithm should be logically correct, or 75% of the input cases are correct, but there are test cases which fail in 25% of the time. So depending on that, I rate them. I rate every submission. Excuse me. Right. So when it came to presentation, so this, as I said, was before pandemic. So I could have all the teams present in a classroom, to the entire section and the evaluators. So what we did was there were 2 evaluators. So, okay, when we did this, there were 2 sections. It was an intake of 90 in ISC. So there were 2 sections. So one section was handled by me and the other section was handled by Guru Prasad sir. So what we did was, it was tough for us to come up with games which were distinct across the sections. So we said, okay, there's one team in section A which gets Mankala. There's one team in section B also getting Mankala. And when they're presenting, I repeat, when they're presenting on the day of the presentation, I will have both the teams of section A and B give it back to back. By this way, I'm making sure they don't copy. At the same time, they're trying to prove that their solution or their game designing is better than the others. This kind of a competition, mode setup, right? So they present it. So when they are presenting, we are looking at their presentation skills, how audible they are, how confident they are, their body language, the way they communicate. So if you could see, the second performance criteria talks about their communication skills, right? So I make it clear, how well do they manage it on the stage, on the podium, yeah, right? How confidently do they speak? And it's a team of 4, right? So I also look at how do they distribute the communication, right? So is it one person doing the entire show, or is it split across all the 4? And this had to be a demo, right? So I don't talk about just a dummy PPT being done. We wanted implementation, so we looked at how the demo was done. Was it complete? And after the presentation, there was Viva OC, right? So we were 2 professors in the classroom, so we had to, find out if they had actually done it, or was it somebody else doing it for them, or some net source which gave them this, right? So we tried, our best to make sure that the problem statement was unique. At the same time, students had learned, right? So that was the last Viva OC. So as you can see, there were 4 performance criteria, max of 5 for each. So they were actually evaluated for 20 marks, but that 20 was reduced to 10 when it, when it was actually considered for the CIE marks. May I request you to mute yourself? Yes, thank you. So I would quickly jump to the reports and the PPT that were given to us on the drive. As I said, this was presented on the screen, in the class. Second, yeah. 2019 project. So this was rock, paper, scissors. So if you could see, we had the PPTs also being given by the students, right? So I'm sure you can easily differentiate between PPTs which are innovative and which are not that great. So there was a report format being given to them. So they had followed a format flow. They were told that they'll explain the problem statement, and they knew what to talk about because they had the rubric on hand. Even before they came presented, or even before they gave us the reports, they knew on what parameters we will evaluate them. So they told us what was the data structure, what was the algorithm, and they had put the source code. So this was a complete or Sudoku or hex. I dragged, pulled few of them. So, and this is, if you can see, it was the game of NIM. So this was by team number 1, one of the sections which spoke about how they would implement it. And this was by the other one. Yeah. So this was by the other team, the other section, which said how they had gone about, handling the solution for that game, right? So at the end of it, what we achieved was, striking 2 birds with a single stone, where, we saw we had catered or met the, the goal of testing their practical skills because they were programming. At the same time, we had also achieved checking their soft skills, right? So that is one of the evaluations. This was a recent one. This was based on for the same course which we did last semester. Yeah, we said labs would be for 15 marks, 10 marks for the puzzle, but it later turned down that 1.5 months after the semester started, we had to go, stay back at home. We didn't have students coming to labs. So we brought down the lab test to just 1 lab test, 1 virtual lab test, and this carried the major component, right? We said this batch are not designing games, but they're looking at puzzles. So these were the terms and conditions of the submission. We said it would be a smaller group because we knew everybody was at home. So we didn't want 3 people or 4 people. Coordination might be tough, for people staying in different places. So we said, okay, let's bring down the team size to just 2. And we said, every team will get a puzzle to solve. And guess what? This was with 3 sections. and all the 3 sections, 2 in a team, came around 30 teams per section, and we gave them distinct problem statements. Yes, it was all 90 plus distinct puzzle statements given for all the 3 sections. Yeah, so what they had to do was to solve the problem, solve the puzzle, and it was not just solving the puzzle, it was all about implementing it. Yeah, they had to code in C or C++, and also as you can see here, they were not expected to solve it in one way but 2 ways. So they had to look at 2 design techniques and talk about which one was better, which was efficient, and things like that. And they had to draw conclusions. We knew they couldn't come online. I mean, it's really tough for us to evaluate 30 teams, 30 plus teams per section. And let's say I would want to evaluate teams of Guru Prasad sir, also even more tough, right? So what we told them was make video submissions. We said, you will have to make a video within a deadline. Make sure your video is between 10 to 15 minutes, not more than that. And that's one submission, and the other submission is the report. So in the video, they have to make sure that they show us the code, the execution of the code, and a lot of other parameters that we evaluate. And the rubric of it was, okay, this is a snapshot of the various puzzles, sample puzzles. I would say, this was not, 90 questions were not done by us, but they were from a source. But the book from where we picked it up were, talking about how to solve them, but never told us or gave us the implementation of how to do it, right? So there was no code on the net which spoke about these problem statements, right? So, students had to do it on their own. Yeah. So it was testing their skills in the true sense, right? So moving on to the rubric. So as you could see, we retained few of them from the previous academic year, where we said choice of the data structure does matter a lot. But now we were talking about time complexity. When we spoke about games, we never spoke about time complexity. But here we said time complexity because we wanted them to differentiate, choose which one was better. So if you could see, if somebody has implemented both and it's complete, they get 5 on 5. Otherwise, it varies. So if you could see, we have quantified it. It's not like you write it as very good, not good, very bad. No, we tried avoiding such phrases. We gave importance to their video making skills also, and the way they communicated, spoke in those videos. So we said, how well is the camera placed? What's the quality of the video? And things like that. And have they, catered to the time slot? We say 10 to 15 minutes. No point in making it for half an hour, right? So you have to make sure the video is within that slot. And report, this was all about written communication. So it was 50-50. So half of it was about practical evaluation. Half of it was all about their soft skill, their skills of writing, talking, and how do they work in teams. It's not just making video, it's also about students talking on different, two students equally balancing their contribution in the presentation and also merging them. That's the reason we said collaborated video. I didn't have to pull few of the reports now because everything was given to us on the drive. So I want to show you a few of the okay, it's Adapasal. So it was of the class rep. So he made sure or ensured everybody put the submissions. So if you could see, these were all the submissions, and this was in the month of April and May. You could see. So let me randomly pick. Let's say this is the first one. So I had the video of them, being uploaded. If you could see, it was an 8-minute. Okay, so it's both the girls giving their contribution and explaining how they went about solving the puzzle and a demo of their code. And they made sure that within the deadline they also put the report, right? So report, they knew what they had to put, right? So they had to talk about the problem statement, the 2 design techniques, the results, and they had to draw conclusions. So there were a lot of analysis, design aspect also being handled. And if you could see in one shot, I had the entire class turn in or give their submissions, right? So it was amazing effort by the students, of how they solved it, how innovative they were in solving it. If you could see, they used various ways. They tried many tools to capture the screen, make the video better. Amazing tools to clip videos, combine them, and things like that, right? So it was actually a lot of things that we also learned in the process, and that was the best part. Okay, I'm like on and on and on. Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, so these were the 2 practices which I think, which I thought I should share with you. Yeah. If I could quickly run through this, I mean, please let me know in the chat window if I could take 5 more minutes to run through a couple of activities that you could do in a classroom. Is that fine, Vineet sir? Sorry, I know you're moderating. You would be happy for me to go for the next minutes, but I would want to hear it from the participants. If you think I can go ahead, tell you small things which would help setting up a dynamic classroom. Or let me know if you want me to switch to of how to make that quiz, the quiz on Mentimeter. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your responses. You want me to go ahead? Yes, I'll stick on to my deadline. Probably next 5 minutes, I'll conclude, this topic. So, as part of the IGIP IUC, certification program, this was around 4 years back, which I went through, where I was formally taught of how to make a class interesting, right? I had when I was taught those things and I started practicing it, I was very fortunate that I could do it in a classroom, an offline classroom. But for the past 6 months, I had to tailor it, use it, see if what can be applicable in a virtual classroom. I'm not being completely successful in making virtual classrooms dynamic, but yes, I would want to share, my experiences quickly of how it did work excellently in offline classes. Yeah, think by share. I'm sure you would have heard about it. So just one question, a student individually thinks, then shares it with his neighbor, and then shares it with the entire class. So that's a 10-minute activity. So I'm sure most of you would have heard about this TPS. Quizzes have always been an integral part in which in my classes, just the way you saw with Menti, I used to do it in offline classes. I used to mimic Kaun Banega Crorepati environment in my class. The audience poll in Kaun Banega Crorepati, everybody has a clicker, right? So every audience would have options of A, B, C. So I tried doing it with colored cards. So what I used to do is one bench is a team of 4. So each team gets 4 colored cards: red, green, blue, yellow. So each standing for A, B, C, D. So on my PPT, there used to be questions coming in, and the team would talk, pull out a colored card and say, this is our answer. So that would be real fun, because students used to enjoy, right? So students are bored with classes which are a monologue, right? So they used to make a class noisy, but yes, I would be happy that they're learning. It was a kind of a reflective learning. So in verbal quizzes, the way we used to play in school, team A, team B, team A ask questions to team B ask questions to team A, and things like that. So I tried this with a lot of flipped classroom sessions, only to know that they've done their homework as part of flipped classroom to go through videos and come to the class. Surprise quizzes were there, but please remember, these were not for assessment. These were all informal evaluations, not part of the formal. And students never thought that marks should be associated with it, right? So they never thought, and this were very effective in an afternoon session like this, right? So there were surprise quizzes, in-class quizzes, quizzes with colored cards, and individual written quizzes as part of an activity which was called STAT. So quizzes were amazing. So I used to, have different flavors of quiz at the end of every unit. I know I cannot be doing this every class, right? I mean, when would I teach if I'm doing only evaluations? So it's a lot of teaching, but at the end of every chapter or every unit, let's say we have 5 units in a syllabus. So out of every unit, if you could have something like this, it kind of makes a student understand that you are serious about making them learn. Yeah. So that was one thing. Peer review was to evaluate. So I, as a student, will give an answer. I switch answer scripts. My friend evaluates my script. That was one thing. But the other one was team player. Yeah, we have a team of 4. I'd say 20 on 25 to all the 4 members. But how do I know who's a sleeping partner in that team of 4? So every team member would evaluate of how the other 3 contributed to the project. Yeah, so that was engagement level of each member. So that was a quick questionnaire which every member had to fill so that they evaluated every other member in the team. That was peer review. Yeah, this is one one very reflective task for a teacher. I taught for 40 minutes, let's say. I've been speaking like this, let's say, but at the end of it, you would want to know how much of it was absorbed by the student, right? So you say last 1 minute, you give them chits and you say, please write something which you did not understand in the class. So take it from me, students would be very, very vocal about it. They wouldn't hesitate to give you the frank feedback. Gone are those days when students used to think, okay, let me give a very positive feedback. Let me not hurt my teacher. No, they don't think like that these days. They're very frank. They are very vocal. They will right away, tell you on your face, that they did not understand, right? So, and what you have to do to make them understand. So in the next class, what is that, pedagogy or teaching methodology that you have to change so that people do understand, right? So I would quickly shift to a quick demo of Menti. So Menti is free, but for 5 questions. So this is not a completely free tool, and that's the reason I just had 5 questions for you. So this is called mentimeter.com. Make a note. It's mentimeter.com. As I said, for unlimited number of questions to be made part of the quiz, you will have to pay. There's a price for it. That's the reason they say upgrade. But if you're logging in with mail ID, it's just free for the first 5 questions. So if you could see, this was one that I recently did for stacks. So, I did have, questions being posted. So let me do it quickly. So each one of them is taken as a slide. So I say new presentation. So let me put it as trial at Rajagiri RSET. Yes. So I say create a presentation. So it gives me a presentation. So if you could see on the right, are the ones. Let me get the chat window out. Okay. These are the popular question types. So the word cloud that we saw was this, right? So you type in, something like this, and you say 3 entries per user or 2 entries, and you will have all the answers given by the user shown here. Yeah? So that was word cloud, or it could be open-ended. Yeah. We saw one by one, or it could be speech bubbles. The way you want to see the output. Yeah. So it could be a flowing grid. So this is again a set of not quiz, I should say, but you make it interactive. People can talk to the speaker or the presenter, but such type of questions in the free mode, you can pick 2. So you can pick 2 from these 6 options on the right of popular question types, but under quiz, you can pick 5, right? So, if you could see, there were 7 in our demo, 2 questions which were on question answer type, and 5 on quizzes. So in quizzes, you say, okay, one second, let me say it's a quiz. So you say quiz, and you can give options, right? So you give option 1, option 2, option 3, and if option 1 is correct, you will preset it. You say this is the option, and you can set the time. So I had set it for 40 seconds. You can go up to a max 99, I guess. And this was what you can check or uncheck. Where you say everybody who gives the answer within the deadline gets 1,000, or faster correct answers get more points. So there is a relative grading. And you could add a leaderboard so that after every question, you know who stands where. Or you could keep the suspense at the end. So after all the 5 questions, you could declare who's the winner. Yeah. Right. So that's about it. Yeah. Anybody who's heard about Kahoot? Kahoot.com. Okay. Yes. Dhanalakshmi ma'am has heard about it. The best part of Kahoot is it's free and there's no limit on the number of questions. So, quickly let me log in. Very similar to adding questions on Mentimeter, you could add questions on this Kahoot. As I said, log in with your Google account. You need not pay. It's free. You could have any number of questions on your Kahoot, yeah. So these are the quizzes on my login. So I say I'm talking about hashing technique. So I have this Kahoot of 8 questions, right? So I say quiz 1, quiz 2, and this is fun for the reason that student takes it on his mobile. So he looks at the screen. There's a question on the screen, but the options are on his mobile. So he clicks and he knows right away of who's making it to the leaderboard, who is winning, where did I go wrong. So problems like this, I can quickly tell them of what is going wrong. Why is that they've not understood it, or things like that. So such quizzes, not on generic topics, but even on technical topics do add a lot of value. Yeah. So, but yes, the hindrance is the question length should be limited on Kahoot. I see that as a restriction, but not with respect to number of quiz questions, right? So you could choose whether you want to use Kahoot or Menti. But yeah, you kind of make the class very interactive. You talk in a language which they like, right? So and if it's a 1 hour class or a 40 minutes class, and in between 10 minutes like this, you're actually bringing them down to the class. It's not waste of time, but it's kind of an icebreaker to bring them back to the class. So I personally feel, this will make these students interested. So yeah, I think with that, I'll close today's session. But yes, another 5 minutes that we have. If you have any questions, I would be glad to take them.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, as the sessions are over, I request participants to share their queries. We'll have the discussion now. Ma'am,
Yes.
Dr. P. Sundarakumar, he asked one question earlier.
Okay, sorry, I missed it, I guess.
No,
Yes.
ma'am. So he asked whether is there any civil or mechanical online platform, just like Hacker Rank? That was his question.
Right. I think I quickly answered at that time that for programming we don't have, that's the only free platform that I have experimented with. Virtual labs was, according to me, an alternate to such, or other engineering branches. Yeah. Especially when I'm looking at evaluating their practical skills, or giving them hands-on experience, or when things have gone online like this. Yes, virtual labs would be my answer to sir's question.
Okay. Okay. Dear participants, any more queries, any more questions?
I think there was one question which I thought I saw it in the break, then I realized I hadn't answered it.
Let me see, ma'am.
Okay. Sri Divya ma'am asked if both, Excel and data in Excel will be stored in the drive. Yes, it's true, ma'am. If you do a quiz with Google Classroom or with just Google Forms, you will have the results on the drive. And yes, with everything going online, I'm sure even our course files are online. We no longer have big files in our department where we take printout, file them, make reports. Everything in our department is online. So even the course files have turned into e-course files. So when you have results of your quiz, like this on the drive, you just have to, share it with the NBA coordinator or make it part of your course file. So it's kind of easier, and it's available with you 24/7. Let's say you're on leave, or you're, anywhere, anytime, you have access to all such reports on your drive. Yes, so that's the best part, and it could be easily made part of your e-course file. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, I think it's time to wind up the session now.
Yeah.
So I extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. B.R. Shangavi, ma'am, for sharing your valuable thoughts regarding assessing practical and soft skills, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for being here with us. Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure. I sincerely thank all the participants. You've been so very active, responsive. Thank you so much. I'll cherish this moment. Lot of offline workshops that we do, but it's very rare to find an online session which can be as interactive as this, as responsive participants as you have been. Thank you so much, and I thank Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology, the management, principal, and the organizers of this event for having me here. Thank you so much, and namaste. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I also thank all the participants on this occasion for being here. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Dear participants, tomorrow by 10 a.m. we will start our formal session with the topic Technology-Enabled Teaching, which will be delivered by Dr. G. Dilnagaran, Associate Professor and Head of Center for Environment Management, NIT, TU, Chennai. Once again, thank you all. Bye for now. Have a nice day.